Good morning. As I set up and get us all ready for this reboot, what I'm going to ask is that you take the first 2 to 5 minutes and you use it to let everyone know where you're from. So let us know your name and let us know where in the world you're joining from. I'm going to find where I'm going to go live. I'm going live in the Facebook group as well. If you're watching from the Facebook group, welcome. So use this name to share with us your name, where you're from, and one thing you're looking to learn from the training today. So I'm going to leave you to put that in the chat as everyone joins. And just going to make sure that my room here is all ready to go. And my kids are home from school. So, summer break, all you parents out there, just going to make sure everything is airtight in here. So just give me 1 second while you enter your name, where you're from, and one thing that you're most looking forward to learning through this class series called Magnetic You. Okay, just give me 1 sec. All right. So, what is that one thing that you're hoping you will pick up from this training today that would be really invaluable for you? Enter it in the chat box. And hopefully, if you are not live yet, you just know to every day refresh your screen. And then you'll see me pop up in the live stream in the private group, House of Impact. Grab a coffee, or I've got both, water, tea, something to stay hydrated. You'll also need some sort of notebook, or if you want to take notes on your phone, just make sure that you're ready to go because we're going to start in about 2 minutes. And I want to make sure that you're settled and you're present and you have everything that you need in order to get everything out of today's training. Because it's going to be a good one. I'm really excited to be training on how to speed up your dreams so that you can reach them faster, you can experience them sooner. So I'll wait until everyone has been able to find this live stream. Sometimes it can be challenging to actually find it. So if you're just hopping on now, just so you know, I'm starting in about 1 minute now. Good morning, Christy. Nice to see you. Just so you know, if you can pop in there where you're from and what you're hoping to get out of this week's training, that would be really helpful for me. It's really great for me to read your comments because when we're online, it helps to create a feeling of togetherness, like we're actually in the same room and I'm presenting from the stage. Hey, James. So the live stream wasn't coming up. Yeah, sometimes you just need to refresh your page if I've gone live, and then the live stream should pop up right at the top of the feed. So try that tomorrow if you join and you can't see it. Good morning. So please enter where you're joining from, maybe where we met, what you're hoping to get out of this training this week, Magnetic You. I'll be teaching on how to become a magnet for all that you desire. And man, that sounds good. And it's true. You can become a magnet for happiness and more fun and more money, more time freedom. But specifically this week, for 5 days, I'm giving you this gift of free classes teaching you how to become a magnet on those three things: happiness, fun, and money. So where are you joining from, and what do you hope to be getting out of this? Awesome. Thanks, James. More self-confidence. Love the conversation that this chat enables us to have. So wonderful. I'm just going to check in if there are others who, yeah, no questions. So we're going to hop into the training. As I said before, make sure you have, I'm double fisting it, make sure you have a drink, make sure you have something to take notes with, and keep all of your notes from this week in a really easy to find spot, not on little post-it notes, because you want to have a compilation of what I'm going to teach this week. I've spent weeks dreaming about what is most important to share with you in a condensed version of what I teach private clients. And I've been dreaming about what to teach specifically for who I'm dreaming is being drawn into this kind of training. So just so you know, I've been dreaming of you, and I've been feeling into what your heart is desiring right now, and curating what I'll be sharing today and over the next 4 days, specifically for what I've been hearing people asking for, where I've been hearing they feel stuck, and giving you solutions that will specifically meet those needs so you can feel happier, more prosperous, all of those good things. Hi, Summer. Wanting to change your relationship with money and worth. Yes, they are definitely inextricably, they're definitely tied together and related. So today we're talking about how to become a magnet for speed. How do we increase the speed of how fast it takes us to achieve our dreams? I'm going to be sharing with you, if you see me look down, I'm following my notes. So I'm going to be sharing with you specifically today the points I'll be covering, and an encouragement to get into the exercises I walk you through. Really take the time while I'm training. So there will be times of silence where I give you the time to write or think and digest what I'm teaching. Just a heads up, most days I'll be teaching for 30 minutes, and there will be group discussion. The more you chime in and engage, the more your brain will suck in the content and absorb it, so that you are starting to change your perception, which creates new ideas, which creates new results on the physical plane. We're going to be talking a lot about that today. So we're going to be hopping into these key points. To create a faster result, to speed up your dreams, you need a few things. They're really important. One of them is you need the clarity of vision. If you don't have a clear vision, imagine this. You're going somewhere on a journey and you look over the hills, but you see mountains and you're not quite sure which one you're headed for. And there are many. Maybe there's 10 way out there in the distance. Or picture a bullseye and you don't know where center is because you've never held a bow and arrow in your hands before, and you've never seen a bullseye. So how do you know where to shoot to get the most points? You need clarity of vision. First thing I'll be teaching on today. Get specific. And second, if we don't have the belief, the faith, the trust that's necessary in order to reach that destination, to hit a bullseye, and to experience that prosperity and that happiness, then we're never going to take a step. Imagine even if you had a clear vision of where you were going, but you didn't believe it was possible for you to get there, that you were capable of walking that distance, or that you had the skill set, or that you would keep going when tough things happened, you probably wouldn't walk that far. You might not even bother. You would busy yourself with other things and tell yourself that life was good when actually you were settling. So we're going to be covering those two things. And tomorrow we'll get more into the necessity for commitment and decisiveness and being an unapologetic leader. Tomorrow we're hopping into a different subject to build your confidence. So let's talk about clarity of vision. And now I want you to get your pen and paper out. Bob Proctor, in his book, You Were Born Rich, really good one to read, talks about how we create our current state. Now, if you have questions while I'm teaching, please save them up, write them down, because I will have time at the end of today's training for maybe 10 minutes of Q&A, okay? So I really exhort you to write them down, and then I will save time for Q&A. But if you put them in the chat box right now, they might get lost. So please write them down as soon as you think of them so that you can save them. So your current state is nothing more than the result of your past thinking. If you have a bank account that's way too low for you, that's a result of past thinking. If you have a relationship with your spouse that feels disconnected and you're not feeling that happiness in your relationship, that's a result of past thinking. It's like a farmer who never planted the crop that they wanted to eat this year. And it's not in their garden because they never planted it. That's the result of last year's actions, thinking, and decisions. So you can start to uncover why you may have the results today that you don't want and how to recondition yourself so that you can get better results. When you think about that, you can also understand how if you're not having the fun and the playfulness that you want in your life right now, that it's just a simple switch of thinking. But first, we need to see how we've been conditioned in order to recondition our mental capacity to create change. It's so amazing. We're creative creatures, and we have the power to create new results if we understand that it's within our grasp. And then we gain some tools that I'll be sharing with you today in order to do that. Thanks for chiming in there, Christy. I see your comment from before that I missed. So most people create like this. They have they look at the result in their life that they don't like, and then they form an idea about that. And that creates a thought. And unfortunately, creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they get stuck in what they don't want. So, for example, your bank account is too low, and you see that physical manifestation in your life. That creates an idea. I guess I should be frugal with my money. And that creates a thought. I don't have enough. Just an example that I pulled out of my head. Or maybe you see a result in your life that is, you're noticing that you aren't taking time for yourself and you're always really busy and your health is suffering and your happiness factor is low because you're not experiencing a lot of joy. So you're looking at that result, that kind of tense, stringent feeling around time, not having enough. And that gives you the idea that you should work more so that you can take time off. And then the thought is, I don't have time for me yet, but I will later. I'll take time off later. You see how it gets you stuck in that self-fulfilling prophecy, in that place of, well, I'll just keep doing the same old thing because I don't want this result in my life. When you focus on what you don't want, you get more of what you don't want. Versus, try this on. I really want you to write this down. If we work from the spiritual, which is your thought life, because we're all spiritual creatures that have a thought capacity, and we live in a physical body. And we want to operate that way because that's how we hold most power. From the spiritual down to the emotional, into the physical realm of results. So it's spirit, which is thought life, idea, which is the middle plane of existence, and then result, which is the physical manifestation of your inner man or inner woman and the inner workings. If you're watching this replay, I want you to do the same thing as if you were live and take the notes specifically when I ask you to, because these are like your PowerPoints. So your current state, if it's the result of your past thinking, then we need to change how we're creating, right? We need to re-engineer. So we operate from the spiritual down to the intellectual, and then it creates results on the physical plane. So you need to start thinking the thought and holding the vision of the reality that you want, not the one that you see. And then that builds an idea, which manifests itself in your life. And we aren't God, but we've been given God power. So this ability to steer our thoughts and create new manifestations on the physical realm is a God-given power. Or you could say we're a creative creature. But that doesn't mean we are God. It's God power flowing through us. And we get to give thanks for that power that we have. Much different than thinking that you're God and your plan is always the best plan. Sometimes things don't result at the exact timing. And we're going to be talking about, I'm going to make a note of this actually. We're going to be talking about incremental manifestation as well, because sometimes we wonder why things aren't showing up in our lives. And we're not taking note that there's incremental manifestation happening for us. So any questions coming up right now, or doubts or insecurities, write them all down, please. Have a feeling some are coming up. If I was attending, I think I would have some questions coming up right now. All right. So thought, idea, thing. That's how it works. Let's practice with this. If I want to give you a way to understand how you've been conditioned around money and maybe around having a lot of fun and happiness in your life. You might not be comfortable with that either. The two are linked. It both have to do with your comfort around receiving good things. It's strange, but we can be uncomfortable even receiving good things. So I want you to put your pen down for a second or your phone. And I want you, by the way, make sure it's silenced. I want you to imagine yourself telling your friends that you plan on getting very, very wealthy in the near future. Or you plan on having a lot more fun and and being a lot more happy. Pick up your pen and I want you to write down, what do the people you've just told have to say about your declaration? They might be thinking, wow, that's irresponsible. She already has, or he already has, a lot of fun. The first thought that comes to your mind might be, she already has enough money. Her life is already pretty good. Isn't it shallow to have a goal to create a lot of wealth? What are the old thoughts that come up that you think people might think about you if you told them that was your goal? Write it down. Because this is your old conditioning surfacing right now. Pay attention to this, because you want to cease operating from those thought patterns. That's what's creating the undesired result of lack in some area of your life, right? Here's a really good one that I had. I didn't like the result of low income in my business in the first couple of years of operating it. To say I didn't like it was an understatement. I was sad and frustrated and embarrassed. I felt like I had to live a double life where I was covering up for my lack. But I didn't know what to do about this result of less income than I wanted until I realized the thought I was thinking that created the idea and the lack result. The thought I was thinking at that time was, I don't have to be committed to making my business successful and helping many people in a way that not only makes me so fulfilled and thrilled, but changes other people's lives, helps them become wealthier, helps their marriages become stronger, more connected, helps them become so happy and fulfilled themselves. I was believing that I could fall back on my husband's income and he would be my backup. And so I didn't have to really commit. Now, some of you are married. Some of you aren't married. Some of you don't feel like you have a backup. This might not be your story, but I'm giving you this example to show you how this experience plays out, because it's real. It's a universal law that I'm teaching right now. Thought creates idea, which creates physical manifestation in the seen world. So that thought created this idea. Then I'm going to play half in. I'm not going to fully commit myself because I don't have to. Plus, there's some things in my business that require me to get really uncomfortable, feel very vulnerable, and do things even when I don't emotionally feel like I want to. And that gave me, it was like a scapegoat, my excuse, which created a result of more freaking lack. And I was so tired of it and frustrated, but I didn't realize that it was the culmination of a thought pattern. And then when I realized the thought, this is the first step, we become aware of a thought. Then we can question the thought. So write this down. Step 1 is to become aware of the thought. Step 2 is to question the thought. And it helps to step 3, write it down, because then you can see it and it's out of your brain onto paper. And then 4 would be re-engineering the thought that would create the result you want. So my new thought was, I'm capable of creating great amounts of wealth. Not focusing on how I would create wealth, but starting to believe that I'm capable of it. And I can if I want to, if I'm truly committed to, I will find a way. So there was a number of different thoughts that I started planting into my subconscious mind. And that started to create a result because of the new ideas that the thought generated. You get it? So after that fourth point of re-engineering the thought, the fifth point is to actively walk it out. How would the type of person who thinks that new thought, I'm already wealthy, I love being wealthy, I can make money with ease, I love what money does for me, money works for me, I don't work for money. Money isn't my master, money's my servant. I love people, I love money, money works for me. So what ideas start culminating are what creates the result on the physical plane. So what does this have to do with speed, right? It has everything to do with speeding up your dreams. And hi, Krista, great to see you. Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. I saw that you were going to join and I haven't seen you in a while. So it's awesome, awesome, awesome that you're here. So we're near at the top, the end of the class, and I still have some important points to teach. So let me get back to them. First thing to do for homework today is I want you to write down what needs to change. What needs to change? So what's missing in regards to happiness, fun, money? Exactly how much money do you want to have? Exactly what would it look like for you to be happier and having more fun? I want you to write that down right now. Start dreaming. Loving that you guys are interacting with me in the comments. It makes me happy. So write it down. Remember, no bullseye means you don't have a clear target. You need a clear target. If things are tight financially right now, or maybe you have enough, but you want to always have more than enough so that you're not thinking about money, you're more focused on your kids, or you're more focused on your parents, or you're more focused on the fun things in your life, or you're more focused on contribution because you're not thinking about money. How much would that take? How much is enough? You really need to nail down that number. So for myself, my next goal is paying off my son's braces in full. Now I believe that's possible. Whereas before, I refrained from getting him braces because I was thinking so small about how we would pay for it. So your job is to think really big. And if you're just joining us right now, welcome. We're nearly at the end of this training, so please take time to join in, say at the 5-minute mark. That's when I start training today. We go through some important exercises and re-engineering of the way that results are created on the physical realm by the stuff you need to do inside your brain, inside your intellect. So for the rest of today, I want you to take 5 minutes and get clear on what's missing, what sort of fun or happiness or amount of money. Create a clear bullseye. Write it down. And then I want you to start envisioning it. There's a quote from Vincent van Gogh that I have for you today. And it was said that he quoted, "I dream my painting and then I paint my dream." And isn't that true for all of us? In order for us to create, we first have to have a vision. And from that vision, we create. We come up with ideas which generate movement and action and habits, which override old ways of being that created results we didn't want. That makes me so happy that today your mind is opening up to new ways of thinking, behaving, and relating to money. Because your old way of being with money maybe was uncomfortable. Maybe you didn't allow yourself to be happy because someone else in your life would still be unhappy, and it made you feel uncomfortable to give yourself permission to be happy. Maybe the same goes with money. Maybe your family has struggled with money and lived on just enough for a long time, and you would be breaking the family mold by being an abundantly wealthy person and being okay with it. But I want you to, we're going to get more into this in day 4 when we talk about magnetic money, where we identify the strategies and also the truths about why it's so important that you are a wealthy person. But for today, identify what's missing and what you want more of and be very specific. Then I want you to write it down, second piece of homework. And third piece is to envision it. For the rest of today, when you're doing the dishes, on breaks in between work, when you're on a walk, whatever, I want you to be thinking about what will you spend the money on? What type of fun will you be having? Who will you be having it with? And right now you might be thinking, this is stupid. What I see in my life isn't going to change by thinking differently about it and dreaming about it. Isn't this just a waste of time? But this is always how something is created, from the unseen to the seen. If you focus on what you can see that you don't like, you'll get more of it. It's just like Job in the Bible said, what I feared came upon me. So worry and fear create more worry and fear and lack. Don't focus on what you fear and what you worry about. We're going to create a plan tomorrow to help you and your brain settle down so that the things that you fear might happen, you already have a plan B for. And then you can focus on creating what you want instead of fearing what you don't want. So the mind can't distinguish between actual possession of something and visualizing, but you don't have it yet. So it thinks that when you're envisioning it, it's already in your life. And it actually helps you make it a reality. It's so wild and so cool. So it will help you start to come up with ideas to make that vision material form. It's so wild. This is the kind of power that we have, and we just need to start harnessing it. And as soon as you get that clear vision down on paper and you start mulling it over, then you can start coming up with ideas because you're thinking bigger about what's possible. Anything is possible. But first, we need to entertain the thoughts and the pictures that would create the ideas to make it possible. So with repetitious new thought, coupled with faith and expectancy that this is possible for me, I'm capable, I have all of the vast resources accessible to me, then you can turn dreams into reality. So now I'm going to open up for discussion. You know, those questions that you had, that you wrote down, hopefully. Now is a great time to ask them. So please pop them in the comment box because I want to, in real time, give you my attention and make sure that you have my support. So Krista, you said, for me, is enough to put a bit aside for our home and enough to take a holiday once a year. Okay, that's getting more clear. I would get even more particular. So enough put a bit aside for our home. What's a bit? What is that number? What is the amount you want to put aside for your home? And enough to take a holiday once a year? How much is that? What kind of holiday do you want? Where do you want to stay? What kind of restaurants do you want to eat out at? By the way, enjoying your wealth is something that God wants you to do. It's not bad. There are many, many, many people who have more than enough wealth, and they're also very generous, very considerate, very helpful and loving humans. And they also allow themselves to enjoy their wealth because they feel they're important as well. Their needs and their desires are important as well. So Krista, how much is enough to put aside for your home, and how much is enough for the holiday that you want to take? Some people love to bike around and take a holiday that way. That's something I want to do in Europe. Do you want to stay in cabins? You know, get my point? So what about you, James? What about you, Summer? What about you, Christy? Any questions that you have today around this topic of clarity of vision, and then getting more aware of how you've been conditioned to think about money versus how you want to feel about money? Pop them in the chat. We're not getting into the specifics of the how-to creation right now, but we will be creating a plan for you in the coming days. And sneak peek of what we're going to be working on tomorrow. Awesome, James. I'm glad you feel that you have what you need to begin the process. Start with what you have. Always start with what you have. Don't wait until you have the whole picture, all of the steps, or we'd never start anything, right? Okay, thanks for chiming in. Tomorrow, we are talking about confidence and helping you step up to lead unapologetically, lead your life. You need to become the leader of your life. So I'll be teaching you the necessary steps to take in order to feel fully confident, having a lot of money, and being able to focus on your new beliefs instead of what the people around you have been conditioned to think, which can really hold you back as well if you listen to their thoughts and their beliefs above your own. So I would encourage you not to actually share your goals around money and fun and happiness with too many people right now, while you're practicing a new way of thinking and creating ideas and creating physical results. Because you don't want them to instill seeds of doubt in your mind about what's possible. You want to stay on a high thinking plane of possibility. You're so welcome, James. Thanks so much for showing up for yourself. And Krista, $1,500 extra for you. That's wonderful. I'm glad you got more clear. Christy. Yes, create a goal that feels doable right now. That's what I'm talking about with incremental manifestation, Krista. And Christy, you love the idea that the current state is nothing more than your past thinking. It clarifies for you subconscious thinking. Okay, great. Yeah, it's great to make a kind of a messy concept more clear. I agree. And Summer, what if the money goal is somewhat small because I want to dip my toe in? I like to go by feel, and what if the work required takes away from the freedom I have? This might be a question worth journaling about. Yes. So what's coming up right now, Summer, is actually past conditioning. And it's great that that curious thought popped its head, into the conversation, because there's a limiting belief right there, is that in order to make the money that I want, I won't have the freedom that I want. So ask yourself if there's any other thoughts like that. We're going to be going really deep into this money topic on day 4. So make sure you're there for that. That's this Thursday, 8:00 every day. And at the end, I have a surprise for you guys. And if you want to stay around for that, it's going to be a private call on Zoom where I will summarize everything I've been teaching for the week and also give some surprises. But also ask yourself, Summer, before I get to day 4, if I have money, if I have more than enough money, what will that require of me? Or what will happen that I don't want to have happen? That may bring up more old conditioning and limiting thoughts. And what you want to do is take those thoughts and ask yourself, if I was thinking bigger about it, what would I believe is possible? And Christy, which always felt a bit hard to pin down. Oh yeah, our subconscious thoughts running our life. The phrase you've provided is more an action plan than existential. Awesome. Okay, Summer, Christy, Krista, James. So wonderful to be with you all, and anyone who's watching this replay. So happy you made this time for yourself, focused on how to speed up the results in your life and change the results to get better outcome, more money, more happiness, and more fun. Tomorrow we dive into creating greater levels of rock solid confidence. And I can't wait to be teaching you that class. And check your email for the replay, as well as in this group. If you post your homework, then we can see and encourage and motivate one another, okay? So I'll post the homework later today as well. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for joining me live. Love to be here with you live.